Hi, I'm Daniel Lucas, and welcome to Movie 101. And of course, my partner in crime, Miss Safa Bernal.
Hello, everybody. How are you doing today? Welcome to this wonderful May 5th, Revenge of the 5th, for those of you who happen to be, like myself, Star Wars fans. Ha ha ha.
Yes, may the force be with you.
Oh, yeah.
All of us, may the force will be for everyone. So, Miss Bernal, last week we talked about
And
your
this recording.
favorite Kung Fu Panda. As about
Oh,
yes,
those movies are so fun. Yeah.
yes. As a black belter, you can relate to that movie, right? Or series.
Yeah, I think it's a fun way to look at some martial arts, and anytime you get to see Jack Black having fun is a good day. Anytime that he's in a movie where you can tell he just gets to kind of let loose and have some fun with it, I'm like, okay, that's gonna be a ride. Maybe not the most critically accepted movies of all time, but absolutely just goodness. It's just fun. It's just goodness
It's
and fun.
fun, fun, fun.
So every once in a while, I need that because there's a lot of things in this world that sometimes you just need a break.
Yes. Too much negative. Too much negative people, and we need a positive, positive always. So, Miss Bernal, this movie that we're gonna talk about is, I think, it's a positive thing. Don't you think?
Oh, today we've got one heck of a movie. On IMDb, it is the highest rated movie of all time.
Hmm.
It beats out The Godfather. It is the highest rated movie of all time. It is, drumroll, The Shawshank Redemption.
Yes.
Uh,
Wow. By by who? Who director,
By
Miss
who?
Bernal?
Okay, so the director was Frank Darabont. And Frank Darabont, he's known obviously for The Shawshank, The Green Mile as well, The
Mm.
Walking Dead. So he's also known from The Mist. But I think, most people would know him as the writer and the creator of The Walking Dead and as the writer of The Green Mile. And so it's just, oh, he did such a good job with it. Oh my goodness.
Yes, I think Green Mile won the Oscar.
I believe so. Yeah.
Mm. Yes, and
It was
even
such a
Shawshank
fantastic movie.
Redemption.
Yeah, I cannot remember what awards it won other than many. So yeah, it was nominated for 7 Oscars. Here we go. So Shawshank was nominated for 7 Oscars. It got 42 nominations in the
Mm.
massive, most, the biggest awards, and it won 21 of them. So it was the winner of the Saturn Award. Uh, it was nominated in 1995 for Best Picture. It was nominated for Best Actor in a Leading Role with Morgan Freeman, and also Best Writing on a Screenplay based on material previously published. So basically, a adapted screenplay. It got nominated. It was also nominated for Best Score, Best Film Editing, Best Sound, and Roger Deakins' Best Cinematography. Another thing that I thought was absolutely fantastic. Roger Deakins is one of my favorite cinematographers of all time. Anytime that he is in charge of being behind the camera, the film is going to be freaking beautiful. No matter what, it's just going to be perfectly shot. And you might know Roger Deakins' work not only from The Shawshank Redemption, but also Blade Runner 2049, which,
A
love it and
favorite.
hate it. Some people love that movie. Other people are like, I don't get it. I love it. I absolutely love it. He he shot it so beautifully. The images are, in my opinion, perfect. Regardless of what you think about certain elements of the script and different things like that, I thought that Gosling did an incredible performance. I thought Denis Villeneuve was a fantastic director, and I really liked Roger Deakins' work. He also
I
did
hope.
No
Yeah.
Country for Old Men, Skyfall. So he's
Mm.
done so many incredible movies. Hail Caesar, Sicaro, Unbroken, uh, even Rango, the little CGI movie.
Yes.
He
Yes.
did that too. Ah,
So,
so
Miss
many
Bernard,
amazing,
what
amazing
what do
pictures.
you think? Why Shawshank Redemption won these prestigious awards in movies industry?
Well, one, it was an incredible piece of cinema. It was just achingly, achingly human and achingly beautiful at the same time. And I mean, it's not necessarily the easiest story to connect to. There is a human element to it where you can connect to the characters and feel their lives. But for those of you who may not be aware, the Shawshank Redemption takes place primarily in a prison. And there is everything from, heretical mistreatment of prisoners to the relationships of people that goes over decades of time. There's this quandary between getting staying in and being out, and whether a prisoner can hope for freedom and what freedom looks like when you've been in the prison system for a very long time. And so it's sometimes awful in that there are scenes of violence towards people. There are people who get beaten. There are things that don't go necessarily everybody's way. But the message behind it, I think, this uncanny optimism through terrible times, is something that really grips. And Tim Robbins did such an incredible job as Andy. The basically the two main characters, Morgan Freeman and Tim Robbins as Andy. Oh, he did such a good job of being innocent in a place full of crime. And oh my gosh, it's an event.
It's an event. People, if you watch Shawshank Redemption, at the end of the movie, you're gonna say, "Oh, what a life!"
Yeah.
You're gonna
Oh
say,
yeah.
"Life is too short." Just said.
Yeah. And they had such a good cast too. I mean, you've got William Sadler playing Haywood. You've got, again, Morgan Freeman playing Red. And he did an incredible, incredible job of that. And just getting to see sort of those little switches that they did in the screenwriting, where you think something is being set up to be one thing, and then it'll click a little to the side, it'll click a little away, and you're like, oh my gosh, it was just masterful. Oh.
So, Miss Bernal, if do you think that Shawshank Redemption will be there will be a remake, what do you think will happen?
I think if they remade it, I think they'd have to be very careful. Because I was talking about this the other day too with some others. We've been seeing a lot of remakes lately. It's kind of a popular thing to do in Hollywood. Oh, hey, this movie is 20 years old, 30 years old, let's remake it. Let's make it for a new generation, let's modernize it and things like that. I think some stories don't require modernization. I think the way that they handle the Shawshank Redemption is just masterful as it is. But the question really becomes, can you remake something so that it maintains that old magic while at the same time creating a different entity in a way? Like in film too, you're thinking, if the Shawshank Redemption was literally the highest rated IMDb movie on the platform of IMDb, if it's literally one of the best pieces of cinema that was made in the 20th century, how can you improve on it? The question is, you probably can't. You
Yes.
probably won't be able to improve on it. So then, is it going to be an homage, a sort of like modernization homage? But I mean, most of it takes place over quite a few decades in, the 1940s and going on. So it is itself a historical piece that's meant to be part of a historical time. Um, but how do you do it in such a way that you're not just trying to, copy paste, where you can do something maintaining the beloved nature of the original while still bringing your own kind of thought and idea in it? And I don't know, I think it would be incredibly difficult. I think that they would need to bring on some very nuanced actors and very nuanced director, somebody who can work with emotion, somebody who can work with some of the almost blatantly religious themes of Shawshank too. You know,
Yes.
It does not escape me that Andy is the only innocent man in the prison, and he's the one that gets born again and escapes and ends up out, out of the hole, as they say, having gone through it. And I think whoever would want to redo it or kind of do another homage, they'd have a very, very difficult thing, as we saw too with something like Blade Runner 2049.
Yes.
The original Blade Runner is what it is. It is incredibly, foundational in science fiction of the last 50 years. It is incredibly foundational in the way that we view genres like cyberpunk and the work of Ridley Scott. And, you've got the incredible performances that we got, even if we have, 17,000 different edits of the original Blade Runner, until we finally got one that Ridley's like, and this is the one. Okay, are you sure? So you don't necessarily know which one to watch, but you can pay homage to something while still not necessarily hitting the mark with everybody, because people who love a film are going to be very possessive of it. And how do you get those fans to join your project in the same way that we're also seeing with Avatar: The Last Airbender? The original Nickelodeon cartoon is one of the best cartoons in the history of television. It has
Yes.
story arcs which are flawlessly done and incredibly amazing. And then the live action, very good production value. Everything looks amazing. The
Yes.
changes that they made, though, have people going back to watch the original.
Definitely. The
You know?
original.
Yeah.
So do you think, Miss Bernal, Shawshank Redemption will be like John Wick? There's a series on it. Is it qualified to do that thing?
Honestly, I think you could continue telling the story of Red and Andy. You could kind of pull it forward and see what that redemption looks like, how it kind of flows from there. Um, I think what they could potentially do is do some form of mini series. Like if they
Mm.
wanted to sort of, take another approach of the Shawshank Redemption, 30 years later, then I just dated myself. Oh my goodness. 30 years later. Oh, my heart. My heart. Oh,
You know?
1995 is 30 years ago. Oh, no. Okay. Oh boy, I think that if they did some form of series to kind of extend out some of those themes and episodes and went along with where those characters came from, I think one thing they could do to sort of lean it out would be to also go into the origin stories of all the prisoners. What did they do? What was their lives like? What kind of crimes did they commit? You know, were they crimes of passion? Was it just career criminal activity? You could get into sort of a pre-Shawshank and then while in the institution perspective and play with time. And then if you played with that time, then you would be able to make something that would maintain the world that we are in, that Shawshank Redemption kind of universe, while at the same time giving us something modern. But for me, I think they just did so well with the Shawshank Redemption. They just did
Yes.
so well. I think it needs to just live the way it is and be one of those things that we watch 100 years from now and go, that was really good cinema.
Yes. So do you think Shawshank Redemption is good for anime?
For anime,
Yes.
I think there are some anime styles that could be really interesting approaches to art. Especially when you think of some of the more painterly styles with certain anime artists, I think those could be incredible. I think that anything in a visual medium can find its way into 2D animation or into manga, that kind of thing. I think it'll definitely change some things. It'll definitely change some approaches, change some potential sensations that we're used to in the Shawshank Redemption. But I think there's some artists out there that could really play with the lighting. They could make it nice and moody,
Mm,
and it would
yes.
be pretty freaking awesome out there, I'd say.
extended version. So, Miss Bernal, before we go on, we want to shout out our listeners from United Kingdom. Thank you, United Kingdom, for listening to this podcast. Because in England, we got 69% audience share, Scotland at 16, and Wales at 16%. Again, United Kingdom, thank you so much for supporting this podcast, because this podcast is created to empower movies itself. So, Miss Bernal, Shawshank Redemption, what do you think the symbolisms that explore to us in the movie industry?
I think the main one for me is hope of freedom and what to do with freedom. Andy is constantly trying to improve things for his fellow inmates and for himself, but he's not losing hope in the fact that he could get out. And, Andy is the only innocent one, and so you've got this sense that through the innocent, through this hopeful being, we can all find some form of, well, it's in the title, redemption. I think, not losing yourself to the experiences around you, while at the same time, we're in a narrative where it's all about doing time, where it's all about penitence for crimes, or maybe just the fact that you got caught. Not everyone's penitent and not everyone's there for the best things. But especially when we see the character of Brooks, we get to see this guy that's been in Shawshank for 50 years by the time they're like, and you can go. And by that point, you have Red say, what does he know? Like, where is he going to go? What's he going to do? This is his home. This is his life. Like, he knows nothing else. What do you do with somebody who is caught in a situation, which might not be the best situation, but they've kind of inhabited it to the point where it is their identity, it is who they are. And with the character of Brooks, this elderly man, he has a tense moment where he attempts to commit another crime so he can stay in prison because he doesn't know what to do when he's out. And then we have that moment where he's packing groceries in a grocery store, wondering if he could commit a crime so they could send him home. And then eventually he just